Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with Nectarine Salsa. That's right, if you promise to give this delicious fruit salsa a try, I promise to try to pronounce salsa correctly. And I have to say, I think you're getting the better part of that deal. But anyway, when most people think of nectarines, they usually think, oh, that's the peach without fuzz. But what they should be thinking is that's the fruit that makes one of the best fruit salsas of all time. So let me show you how to put this together, and we will start with the nectarines. And what we want to do is dice this up nice and fine. And one nice thing about nectarine is we don't have to peel it. That skin is edible and beautiful, so we do want to include it. And like all stone fruit, there is a big pit in the middle. So I'm going to cut around with my knife like this. And then sometimes, but not always, if you twist it, the halves will come apart. But that does not always happen. So in a minute, I'm going to show you what to do if it doesn't come off easily. But anyway, what we'll do is we'll take that half, and we'll start cutting slices. And I don't care what it is. If you can cut something into slices, that means you can cut it into strips. And if you can cut something into slices and then into strips, that means you can turn the strips and cut across this way into a nice small dice. And of course, the thinner you make your slices, or the smaller you make your strips, the smaller you can do your dice. So really, no matter what fruit or vegetable we're talking about, it's generally the same procedure. And you can see how small I think you should make yours. But give or take, this salsa is going to taste just about the same whether you make it a little bigger or a little smaller. And then let me show you what to do if that stone does not come out easily. All you need to do is take your knife and cut off pieces of that fruit as close to the stone as you can get, and just go around cutting like that. And when I get it down to about this point, I just stop and eat the rest. That's it. No matter what size chunk you're starting with, the system is the same. Slice it, cut it into strips, and then dice it. And by the way, I should mention, sometimes the food actually teaches you how to cut it. See, I tried to cut two at once by stacking them, but they just slid. So that was the nectarine saying, hey, don't be a hero. Just do one slice at a time. So it's always good to pay attention to stuff like that. So I went ahead and I did a fine dice on exactly 2 nectarines. And once our fruit is cut, we can transfer that into a mixing bowl so we can add the rest of the ingredients. So to our nectarines, we will add some diced onion, as well as some red bell pepper. And then because everybody loves a little heat with their sweet, we'll also do some finely diced jalapeno, as well as some freshly chopped cilantro. And that's going to be pretty much it for the vegetation. But of course, we're going to have to dress and season this. So we'll do a little splash of olive oil, as well as some freshly squeezed lime juice. I'm going to do about half a lime, but obviously all this is to taste. So a little bit of fresh lime juice, and then we'll season this up with a little bit of cayenne. Oh, you know that makes everything else taste better. And then last but not least, a generous pinch of salt. And we will take a spoon and mix that up. And that's pretty much it. Although, like any salsa or other cold sauce, we really want to let this sit in the fridge for a while and let those flavors develop. So what we'll do after we mix this is we'll cover it with some plastic and we'll pop it in the fridge for about a half hour to an hour before the final seasoning. And yes, if you're starving, you can eat it right away. No problem. But it really is better if you let those flavors develop for a little bit in the fridge. And by the way, if you're looking for ideas on how to kill that time, may I suggest grilling some pork chops to put this salsa on. So that's what I'm going to be serving this concoction with today, but it really does go beautifully with anything off the grill. So I grilled myself up a few pork chops, and by the time I was done and those were resting, I was ready to pull my nectarine salsa out of the fridge to finish it off, which is super easy because all you need to do is give it a good stirring and then a very thoughtful tasting. So I gave mine a taste. And I decided to put a little more salt in, as well as a little pepper. We can add a little more cayenne if we want, but I actually remembered I was going to serve this with pork chops. So I put a pinch of black pepper in. And we'll give that one last final mix, and of course one last final taste. And once that's seasoned to whatever your idea of perfection is, it is ready to serve. And this stuff is absolutely perfect on all your favorite grilled summer meats. But I already spoiled the surprise. I'm going to serve mine with some pork chops. So let's go ahead and spoon some over and try to make a nice neat pile. The last thing we need is some piece of diced pepper going rogue. So let's fix that. And that, at least to me, looks like summer on a plate. So let me dig into this, and as tradition would dictate, describe how awesome it tastes. And it really did. I mean, the combination of that smoky meat with that sweet, savory, tangy salsa is just absolutely perfect. But of course, I'm eating this all wrong. You can't be just dipping the meat into the juice. So let me use 2 hands here to do it properly. There we go. You really want to enjoy this all together in big juicy bites. And by the way, if you're one of these people that thinks it's just too strange to use fruit for a salsa, Well, I have to say, I think you're strange. Because what about tomatoes? Tomatoes are a fruit. And tomatoes happen to be the most popular thing to make salsas with. So if it pleases the court, I rest my case. Actually, hold on. You can't handle the truth. Okay, now I rest my case. So I really do hope you give this a try. Head over to foodwishes.com for all the ingredient amounts and more info as usual. And as always, enjoy.